Next, we'll have the first hearing on House Bill 389 with Representatives Joe Miller and David Thomas. Welcome to committee, gentlemen. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Willis, Vice Chair Daniels, Ranking Member Grimm, members of the House Transportation Committee, for allowing myself and Rep. Thomas to provide sponsored testimony on House Bill 389, which eliminates additional registration fee for hybrid motor vehicles. In the 133rd, where we're going back a little bit, in that GA transportation budget, additional registration fees were added for owners of electric and hybrid vehicles as a way of offsetting the assumed loss of gas tax revenue. And I want to be clear that the owners of electric, myself, and hybrid vehicles want to pay their fair share towards the state's infrastructure. We cannot afford to let any vehicle contribute to the wear and tear of our roads and bridges without also contributing to their maintenance and construction. So long as the gas tax remains the primary source of funding for our infrastructure, a rabbit hole I'm not going to go on and into now, some sort of fee on electric vehicles is necessary to avoid the problem of free ridership. And while we all want to avoid the problem, we must ensure we are doing so fairly. However, when it comes to traditional hybrid vehicles, we are double taxing our constituents. Many hybrid vehicles have no external charging source, which means they run exclusively on gasoline. The only difference is that they have an internal mechanism that allows for slightly better or higher fuel efficiency. Due to advances in technology, standard combustion engines, gas mileage efficiency has improved across the board, oftentimes coming close to and even outpacing some of these traditional hybrid models. My office has heard many of constituents, including one whose vehicle was coded as hybrid without being advertised or listed as such, and therefore had to contest the status of their vehicle with the BMV or pay the additional $100 registration fee per year. This body has already agreed that the $200 fee for plug-in hybrid vehicle owners amounted to more than their fair share, and I give the credit where it's due. You all came together and said in the 135th, we're going to bring that down to 150th to make it fair for those driving the plug-in hybrid. I want to be clear that the bill does not touch the existing fee structure for fully electric vehicles, nor lowering the fee for plug-in hybrids. This bill takes the next step in making sure that we're not overtaxing Ohio families for their economic choices by eliminating the additional $100 registration fee applicable to traditional hybrid vehicles. It will ultimately have a positive effect on the budgets of Ohioans who also continue to pay gas tax at 38.5 cents as every time they hit the pump and pump a gallon of gas in. I've spoken to many hybrid vehicle owners throughout the state, and I am assure you that our officers have heard many of complaints from these constituents about this very issue. It's time to bring relief to the Ohio families. Thank you again for the support and allowing me to provide this testimony. Glad to hand it over to my joint sponsor, who will also give you some great facts on this issue.
Thank you, Rep. Miller, so much, and thank you, Chair Willis, Vice Chair Daniels, Ranking Member Grimm. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to share today on this bill, and thank Representative Miller for allowing me to join him on this legislation. Fun fact, this is actually the #2 most kind of reached out to taxpayer comment that our office has gotten. Typically, it's when constituents go to the DMV, they get their new vehicle, and they have this much higher fee, and they ask, well, why? What's the purpose of this? And they're really kind of frustrated by this extra charge. And so we actually get quite a lot of contact from folks, and that's why I wanted to join this bill as more of a taxpayer fairness kind of effort. And I want to highlight, in my testimony, I have a few different kind of just anecdotes. For example, one that stuck out to me in particular, first month in office, Barbara from Ashtabula emailed our office. She's 79 years old. She had a vehicle, 25 miles per gallon, bought a much older vehicle to save money on the payments, also 25 miles per gallon, happened to be a hybrid, one of the first ones that were produced. And she's now asking, essentially, hey, same gas mileage, same type of car. I drive to the grocery store and church, that's about it. But I'm paying now an extra $100 just because this is considered a hybrid vehicle. And that to me just kind of really struck out as, okay, this is probably something that can be changed here. Most of our constituents, I think, share with us that consumption-based taxation is really something more of where they'd like to move to. And the gas tax is a good example of that. But if we're having this type of labeled taxation on top of the consumption, then you're really getting some of those unfair treatments depending on what type of vehicle you have, even if the actual miles per gallon is a little bit out there. So wanted to thank you all for your time, allowing us to give testimony, and we're happy, I believe, to answer questions.
Any questions? Chair recognizes Rep. Pizzuli.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Reps. When was this law passed? Do you happen to know that in your research? When did it come about?
Yeah, through the chair, it was 133rd GA, the transportation budget was where that actually came about when we were trying to increase the gas tax and diesel tax in Ohio, make it more online, and also we have aging infrastructure, and it was sold to us that, hey, this is the way to do it. We were starting to get into, in the 133rd GA, a larger number of purchases of electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, and we believe that they should contribute. Unfortunately, when they hit me with the dollar amounts in the transportation budget, I was like, this is out of whack.
Follow up?
Sure.
Thank you again, Chair, and thank you, Reps. So is this registration fee every time you renew your tag, or is it one time, or?
It depends, through the chair to the rep. It depends, because some of us will pay ahead and get plates for a longer time, and then we have to pay every year on top in one upfront cost, so we don't get any interest on the money you guys get. So with that, the $100, for example, you pay upfront and then you drive as many miles. If something happens where you're not driving or the car sits, you're still out $100. I did some quick math. I was bored last night in the hotel, and it said, and I took the average number. And Chair, if you'll entertain me here, it said 20 to 35% increase in efficiency with the new hybrids. So I did that to mean that you had a 25 mile per gallon vehicle. You got a battery backup now, as we call it, a little battery assist. You're getting 32.5. Average 13,000 miles. I'll do the math for you. You had to pay for 520 gallons of gas to get 13,000 miles. Now you only have to buy 400 gallons of gas. That's 120 gallons. The savings times 38.5 cents means that you saved, by giving $100 for that fee, you saved $46. So you just got hit with $54 more for having a more fuel-efficient vehicle here in Ohio, and we're pushing, and many of our car manufacturers in Ohio are building hybrids. So what a nice gesture to let them know we appreciate them building hybrids in Ohio, and we're going to reduce that fee.
Any other questions? Yeah, Vice Chair Daniels.
This is quick, and if you don't have the answer, no problem. But reading this, it says the financial impact could be roughly $13.8 million to the state in fiscal year 26 and $30 million in 27. Is that just because we're projecting that there are that many more hybrids that will be sold in 27? It just seems like a huge jump. It's well more than double.
You want it? So thank you, through the chair to the vice chair. My understanding is LSC believes that the trend and pattern is for more purchases of internal hybrid. I'm not sure what the reason for companies doing it. I know that the technology has gotten there. I'm expecting battery costs to start becoming very expensive, and maybe that offsetting and not becoming as feasible. But they do track the pattern, and they think there's going to be more sold. Yes. Go ahead.
I'll add on as well, Chair, Ranking Member, or Vice Chair, I apologize. In my testimony, for example, I shared the RAV4, America's most popular SUV, will only be hybrid moving forward in 2026. Toyota is moving to that almost all only hybrid model. So we're, I think, anticipating a lot more of those just by de facto. I drive a RAV4, love it, but not an official go buy one.
Any other questions? I would to go along with the entire discussion around hybrids, just recognize the fact that everyone has been talking in my sphere and in the things we've talked about with advanced air mobility and all the things that are going into the next thing, which is electric aviation also. And just to highlight the fact that these vehicles we're talking about are some of the most efficient vehicles on the road. And we should incentivize that, I believe, in some way. Because what we've found is after we've jumped through all of these hoops toward technological advances, and we know what the future looks like, but it's taking us longer to get there than we think. And in the interim, what we're finding out, even in the aviation space, is that the most efficient builds that we can build right now are hybrids. They're still burning fuel that will charge and do all of those great things. So I don't find it unusual that we're still having this conversation. I really hope that we can get something done on it this time. I think it's something we've needed to do for a while. And I honestly believe the numbers are potentially a little bit pessimistic. So just my thought.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks for bringing it, guys.
Thanks, committee. Appreciate it.
And that will close the first hearing on House Bill 389.